The cameras were rolling, the crowd was cheering, and a young boy's face lit up as a tennis star pointed straight at him. It should have been a heartwarming moment, the kind of memory a child never forgets. But in a shocking twist, that joy was ripped away in seconds, right there at the US Open, in front of millions of viewers. Fans are calling it one of the most bizarre scandals in recent sports history, and the internet hasn't stopped buzzing since. A powerful CEO worth millions leaned forward and snatched the prized cap right out of the boy's reach. The clip spread like wildfire, sparking outrage, disbelief, and heated debates across the globe. Who does something like that? Was it greed? Was it arrogance? Or was it something far more complicated? Days later, the man at the center of the storm finally broke his silence, releasing a statement that only raised more questions than answers. His words have been dissected, mocked, and scrutinized, but the damage is done. What began as a simple fan gesture has turned into a worldwide scandal. And tonight, we're breaking down the story that has everyone talking. The uproar began the moment the clip hit social media feeds. At first, people thought it was just another funny courtside moment, maybe even a misunderstanding. But the more they watched, the more furious they became. A grown man dressed sharply in a suit, reaching forward and ripping away a gift meant, for a kid, that wasn't just awkward, it was outrageous. Within minutes, captions like "shameless," "greedy," and "heartless CEO" started flooding TikTok and Twitter. Fans replayed the clip in slow motion, zooming in on the boy's face, pointing out the way his smile instantly dropped into disbelief. The boy's small protest, his hand reaching back as if to say, "No, that's mine," became the screenshot of the scandal. "Who even does this?" one fan tweeted, racking up thousands of likes. Another wrote, "This is why rich people get away with anything." Imagine snatching a hat from a child on camera and thinking it's okay. Hashtags were born overnight. Hatgate, US Open scandal, and even CEO's kid. It was no longer just about tennis. It was about class, power, and the idea that money gives someone the right to take what they want. Behind the scenes, the boy, identified later as Brock, was still stunned. According to whispers from those near him, he burst into tears after the cameras stopped rolling. His parents tried to console him, but the damage was done. A moment that should have been magical was stolen, and the world had witnessed it. By the time the family made it home, their phones were blowing up with messages. Friends were texting, "Is that Brock? Is that your kid?" Reporters began knocking on their door the very next day, wanting statements, wanting reactions, wanting more fuel for the fire. Meanwhile, the man at the center of the storm, Szczerek, had no idea what kind of tidal wave was about to hit him. At first, he brushed it off. He was a CEO, a millionaire who had been in the public eye before. He thought this would fade by morning. But when he woke up and checked his phone, his name was trending in multiple countries. His inbox was flooded with angry emails, and his company's social media pages had turned into battlegrounds. Disgusting. Fire this man immediately. How can anyone trust a business run by someone who steals from a child? Those were just some of the comments plastered across his company's Facebook and Instagram posts. Even worse, pranksters began leaving one-star reviews on Google, dragging his paving company's reputation through the mud. Overnight, a successful business was now associated with one viral scandal. In Poland, where Szczerek was from, the local press wasted no time in picking up the story. Headlines screamed, "CEO humiliates child at US Open," and "Shameful behavior sparks international outrage." His neighbors were suddenly whispering about him. His kids were being asked about the incident at school, and even extended family started calling, demanding explanations. For someone who had built his reputation on discipline, hard work, and leadership, this was a personal and professional nightmare. But the internet wasn't satisfied with just shaming him. It wanted answers. Amateur detectives on Reddit began digging into his past. They pulled up old interviews, old photographs, even company reports, searching for anything that could prove a pattern of arrogance or entitlement. Rumors started flying. Some claimed he had done similar things before, grabbing merchandise at sports games, pushing kids out of the way for autographs. Others swore he had a history of public outbursts. None of it was verified, but that didn't matter. In the court of public opinion, the verdict was already sealed. Guilty. And then came the memes. Hundreds of them. Photoshopped images of Szczerek holding giant hats, stealing candy from babies, even edited clips of him snatching trophies from famous athletes. One viral meme showed him standing in front of the Mona Lisa with the caption, "Mine now." The internet had turned him into a villain overnight, and the more he tried to ignore it, the bigger it got. But perhaps the most painful blow came from within his own circle. Friends and associates began distancing themselves. A colleague, speaking anonymously to a gossip outlet, said, "I always knew he had a bit of an ego, but I didn't think he'd be capable of this. It's embarrassing." Even his own family wasn't immune to the fallout. His teenage son reportedly got into an argument at school after classmates mocked him with chants of, "Hat thief, hat thief." His wife, normally reserved and private, was allegedly furious that one careless moment had dragged their entire household into chaos. "Do you realize what you've done to us?" she was overheard shouting, according to a source close to the family. While all this was unfolding, the tennis player at the center of the incident, Kamil Majchrzak, wasn't staying quiet either. Instead of letting the scandal fade, he doubled down. In a heartfelt Instagram video, he said, "That moment was for a young fan. To see it taken away like that broke my heart. I want to find this boy and make it right." His words struck a chord with millions. Fans praised him for stepping up, for caring enough to fix what had been ruined. Suddenly, Majchrzak wasn't just a tennis player, he was the hero of the story. And that's when the real twist hit. The boy was found, and Majchrzak invited him and his family backstage at his next match. Cameras captured the reunion as he handed the boy signed memorabilia, posed for photos, and told him, "This is all for you. No one can take this away again." The crowd cheered, the internet melted, and the boy's smile finally returned. It was a redemptive moment, but it made the CEO look even worse, because while the tennis star was making things right, the man who caused the scandal remained silent. That silence didn't last long. Pressure mounted by the hour. Business partners were demanding explanations. Sponsors hinted at cutting ties. His legal team advised him to address the scandal before it destroyed everything he had built. Finally, after days of speculation, Szczerek released a statement on his company's website. He apologized to the boy, to his family, and to fans. He insisted it was all a misunderstanding, that he thought the hat was being given to his sons, but if he thought the apology would calm the storm, he was wrong. Fans dissected every line, calling it weak, rehearsed, and insincere. The phrase that stood out, where he described the boy as injured, sparked even more outrage. Was he talking about emotional hurt, physical harm, or was it just a bad translation? Whatever the intent, it backfired. Instead of softening hearts, it poured gasoline on the fire. For many, the apology wasn't enough, because no matter what words were written, the video was still out there. The image of a man ripping away a cap from a child wasn't something that could be erased by a few sentences. It had become part of internet culture, immortalized in clips, screenshots, and memes. The scandal had now grown beyond sports. It was no longer just about a boy and a hat. It was about privilege, accountability, and how quickly the internet can decide your fate. And as the world waited for his next move, one question remained. Could Szczerek ever recover from this? Or was his reputation permanently shattered? The apology was supposed to be the turning point, the lifeline that could stop his reputation from sinking. Instead, It became the rope that dragged him down further. Within hours of posting, screenshots of the statement were everywhere, dissected, word by word. On Twitter, fans circled sentences in red ink and posted them with captions like, "This doesn't add up," and "Does he think we're blind?" The phrase about the boy being injured was mocked relentlessly. One viral post read, "Imagine stealing a hat from a child and then acting like you put him in the hospital." Even more damaging was the tone of the apology. To many it sounded defensive, even calculated. "I thought it was for my sons," he wrote, but the video told another story. Fans replayed the moment again and again. The boy's tiny voice saying, "No, what are you doing?" as Szczerek clutched the cap. The evidence didn't match the words, and that gap became the biggest weapon against him. By the second day after the statement, new rumors began to swirl. Posts claimed that Szczerek had privately lashed out at critics, threatening to sue anyone spreading defamatory lies. Screenshots, unverified but explosive, allegedly showed conversations where his wife defended him, insisting he had done nothing wrong. Others claimed his legal team had contacted websites demanding takedowns of memes. Whether real or fake, these posts fueled the drama. Fans didn't wait for fact checks. They shared, commented, and spread the story like wildfire. Meanwhile, Szczerek's company was collapsing under the pressure. Board members called emergency meetings. "We can't have our brand tied to this scandal," one executive reportedly said, his voice sharp with anger. Investors threatened to pull out, complaining that their money was now linked to a global joke. In one heated exchange, captured by an insider and leaked online, a senior manager yelled, "Do you realize what you've cost us? A lifetime of work ruined because you couldn't control yourself at a tennis game." At home, things were no better. His wife, usually the calm one, broke into tears one evening. "Do you see what this has done to our children?" she said, slamming her phone on the table after reading cruel messages directed at their family. His teenage son, humiliated at school, locked himself in his room, refusing to come out. Friends who once called daily for business deals now avoided his number. He was becoming isolated, trapped in a storm of his own making. But the internet wasn't done. Journalists started digging into his past charity claims. For years, Szczerek had boasted about supporting children's programs, funding sports teams, and donating to youth initiatives. Now, critics asked, if he really cared about kids, why steal from one on live TV? Old photos of him at charity events resurfaced, and instead of praise, they were paired with sarcastic captions like, "Generous when cameras are rolling." His reputation as a community supporter crumbled in days. The story then took an even darker twist. An anonymous former employee came forward in a late-night talk show interview, hinting that this wasn't the first time Szczerek had shown entitlement. "He has a pattern," the ex-employee claimed, eyes fixed on the host. "He always believed rules didn't apply to him. Whether it was business, sports, or even small things, he acted like the world owed him." The audience gasped, and the clip went viral. Suddenly, the hat scandal wasn't an isolated incident. It was being painted as proof of a deeper flaw in his character. Behind closed doors, Szczerek was reaching his breaking point. "This is madness," he muttered to his lawyer during a tense meeting. "It was a hat, a mistake. How did it become the end of my career?" The lawyer, flipping through a pile of printed articles, gave a weary sigh. "Because it's not about the hat anymore. It's about perception. And right now, you are the villain in the world's biggest drama." As the days dragged on, Majchrzak, the tennis player, emerged as a glowing contrast. Each time he posted about the boy, fans cheered. Each autograph he signed, each smiling photo he shared, only widened the gap between the hero and the villain of the story. One evening, Majchrzak tweeted, "Grateful to meet young fans who remind us why we play." The photo showed him hugging Brock, the boy at the center of the scandal. The image was pure redemption for one side and absolute destruction for the other. But just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, another video surfaced. A fan posted previously unseen footage from the same game, filmed from a different angle. In this clip, Szczerek could be heard muttering something under his breath as he grabbed the hat. The audio was muffled, but internet users swore he said, "If you were faster, it would be yours." The phrase spread like wildfire, quoted in headlines and hashtags. "If you were faster" became the internet's new rallying cry. Fans printed it on t-shirts, memes, and even graffiti in his hometown. Whether or not he truly said it didn't matter. The damage was irreversible. The scandal was now a full-blown global drama. News anchors debated it, comedians roasted it, in late-night monologues, and fans on every continent weighed in. His name was no longer associated with business or success. It was synonymous with arrogance. He had become the face of entitlement, the man who snatched joy from a child. Inside his mansion, tension boiled over. One night, his wife confronted him in front of their children. "You've destroyed us," she whispered, tears running down her face. "Not because of what you did, but because of how you handled it after. You turned a mistake into a disaster." His son shouted from the corner, "Why couldn't you just say sorry right away? Why didn't you give the hat back?" The silence that followed was deafening. For the first time, Szczerek realized he wasn't just losing fans. He was losing his own family. But in the entertainment world, drama never rests. As social media platforms continued to circulate the scandal, entertainment bloggers started speculating about the next move. Would he resign as CEO? Would he sue the media? Or would he attempt a televised apology to win back public trust? Fans tuned in eagerly, waiting for the next chapter of the spectacle. And through it all, one question echoed louder than ever. Could a single hat really destroy a man's life? Or had the mask simply slipped, revealing who he truly was all along? The storm wasn't slowing down. It was growing darker, uglier, and more personal. By the end of the first week, the scandal wasn't just about a snatched hat anymore. It had become a full-blown war of narratives. On one side were millions of fans, furious and united in their outrage. On the other was a wealthy CEO, scrambling to defend his name while watching everything he'd built crumble into dust. And then came the betrayal that nobody saw coming. A leaked email, allegedly, from within Szczerek's own company made its way onto a gossip blog. The email painted a picture of chaos inside the boardroom. "He refuses to step down," it read. "He believes this will all pass, but the brand is bleeding every hour this goes on." Attached to the leak was a note from a senior executive. "If we don't cut ties with him soon, the company won't survive." The leak spread like wildfire. Fans couldn't believe it. His own team was turning against him. Headlines screamed, "CEO losing control as inner circle rebels." Investors panicked further. Within 24 hours, shares in his company dropped.